September 10th is Suicide Prevention Day. It's a pretty heavy topic, and I want to talk about that. My name is Sadie Jane. I am 30 years old. I am an artist, a small business owner, and I kept on living. Um, I've dealt with suicide thoughts and urges my whole life. Um, it was really scary as a child to deal with these thoughts. I grew up in a world of domestic violence. So as I was reaching out to guidance counselors and to police officers and social services, children's aid, children's advocate, as I was reaching out begging and pleading for them to remove me from my situation, and then having to wait for the process of the red tapes and politics behind all of that, I was getting desperate, and I was getting scared, and I was getting exhausted. I couldn't keep living this life anymore. So the suicide thoughts and urges became really predominant. And you know, I was like 11 or 12 when the thoughts became really, really bold. But it was around 13 or 14 that I really, really just wanted to be dead. But I was too scared of the violent process that I had created in my head. So instead, I would go to bed at night and I would pray and beg and plead and hope that during that night I would take my last breath and then I wouldn't wake up in the morning. But each morning I kept waking up, and I was so frustrated at the time. And now I'm very grateful that I kept waking up. So in 2001, a month before my 15th birthday, I was removed from my mother's house by social services. And I really thought that was going to be a turning point for me. But I actually spent the next 15 years rebuilding myself from that first 15. And it was a really challenging and overwhelming and exhausting process. And I think that the abuse was just as equivalent to the healing process in regards to how much it wore me down. So the depression really grew, the frustration really grew, and with that, so did the suicidal urges. Uh, there were too many times. There were too many times. One time is too many, but there were too many times that I ended up in the emergency um, because of this. So anyways, I had a lot of loved ones, and they were trying so hard to help me through this time. They were saying that they loved me and that they would miss me and that I can't do that and that, suicide is selfish and all the things that you think you should say to somebody when they tell you they want to die. And a lot of that made me feel worse, actually. And I don't blame them for that. I don't blame you guys for that at all. Because we live in a world where suicide is not a common topic that we deal with, and the tools and the words and the communication skills aren't really established. And that's what today is all about. It's about starting the communication and about getting all of this out there. So sharing my experience, I guess, is kind of part of that. So during this time, I didn't believe that they would actually miss me. I didn't believe that they loved me. I was the broken, damaged kid that came from a history of child abuse. Like, you be nice to that kid, and that's it. So I thought they were just trying to take care of me because I was so broken and damaged, and that it wasn't authentic. So that kind of combined with the little bits of truth that I did think, well, maybe this person does love me. Maybe they do care for me. If you put all of those confusing thoughts and feelings together, it came down to, well, obviously, no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I keep shagging things up so bad and making a bigger state out of it. So if I just remove myself from the picture, everyone will be better off. And I authentically believed that. And that's what made it so hard. I would watch loved ones just shut down and just, it was devastating to see, and I was confused. Why are you crying? Why are you, I'm not scared. I'm the one that wants to end my life. Why are you all rattled? And it wasn't until much later when I was on the other side of the fence and I was watching a friend of mine be carried out by paramedics because he had overdosed, and being in the hospital waiting to see if they could save his life, that I knew what it was like to be on the other side of this debate, this not debate, but this conversation, this topic. I know what it's like to be suicidal, and I also now know what it's like to have a friend who tried to take their life, and it's shit. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's shit. It's just shit for everybody. So anyways, yeah. I in 2010, I had just completed my second visit to an inpatient mental health hospital for my PTSD and for my eating disorders, and life still wasn't getting any better. I mean, financially, I was on disability because I still couldn't fully function as a human being, I guess. I thought I heard someone at the door, but I think it was my stomach. So yeah, I couldn't fully function, and it was really frustrating. I didn't have enough money to pay my bills. I certainly didn't have enough money to buy the food I needed to maintain my recovery with my eating disorder. So it was getting really dark and twisty again. I was in a relationship with somebody. Actually, I'm still dating him 6 and a bit years later. So he had come over to my house that night, and we got into a spat. I have no idea what it was about at all, but it was I was savage. I remember being savage, and he slept on the couch, and I was in the bedroom, and I started to write a letter because I was done. I was absolutely done at this point. I mean, nothing I did, nothing I tried could make my life any better. And I mean, I had been trying at this point for, I'm not a math person, for however many years that is. So I was getting done. I thought, this is it. Like, I'm fed up. So I wrote the letter, and I was going to wait for the next day for when he wasn't home. And I don't want to get into the details of it, but it was pretty emotional. So I went to sleep that night. And the next morning, he came through the bedroom to use the washroom, and on his way, he had seen the letter on my bed. So, I guess, I don't know if he read it all or if he just saw the first bit, but he woke me up frantically, and I'll never forget that look in his eyes. So anyways, he brought me to the hospital, and anyways, I was given another diagnosis that seems to be a result of my childhood. So that was pretty much it. I mean, nothing really came from it. They couldn't offer me any support because the Newfoundland mental health system is shit. They're absolute shit. They have no support for anybody, really. So I went home out of it, and I kind of had an idea of what suicide meant at this point for the people in my life, like a better understanding. So I then turned to other forms of self-harm, which again devastated Craig. So I ended up moving to Amherst, Nova Scotia to access the DBT program, which is a different type of therapy than CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is most commonly accessed. So anyways, I went through that, and the self-harm completely came to an end, but I still dealt with the urges every once in a while because I still didn't really have my poop in a group, and I still kept seeming to mess things up, no matter how hard I tried. So, but Craig kept supporting me through all of this, and my friends and my loved ones kept supporting me, and it just means a lot that I was going through such a dark time, and that they could have easily walked away and just gave up, because no matter how hard they were trying, it was like I was getting nowhere. And I'm sure that was the equivalent to talking to a wall at that point. So bless you guys for friggin' sticking in there for me. It means a lot. And I'm truly, truly sorry for those of you who were in my life during that time and had to deal with all of that. I'm just so sorry. But anyways, here I am. I'm 30 years old now, and these past 3 years, a little over 3 years, have been wicked. I mean, friggin' wicked. I've discovered the most amazing thing in life. It's called happiness, and it's mind-blowing. Like, it's absolutely, I didn't know this existed, but it does, and it's amazing. So I've discovered happiness, I've discovered inner peace, and I've created peace in my surroundings. Self-love has been established, and like, that's awesome. I'm really digging that. So yeah, things are going good, but even in this state, depression will still creep in sometimes, and I'll still have those thoughts, but they're not as strong as they used to be, and I've worked really hard at building a solid list and experiences during the good times, so that when I do have these really big lulls, and when I still get that thought cross my mind, that I can say, yes, but look at how it gets better. Look at where life is, and do I really want to leave this? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what happens once we're gone. Is it eternal darkness, or is there something more? I don't know. So I'd rather just stick with this here. But anyways, that's my story, and I guess, you know, part of Suicide Prevention Day is talking about it, is, you know, taking away all the connotations and the, you know, this taboo that we've built around this topic, and just to break it down. And I've kind of experienced that recently. I've always wanted to believe that we're all on the same playing field, but because of the way I've viewed myself in the world, I always put myself below other people. So I've recently made amazing friends with these two women, and again, I had them behind these beautiful white picket fences and far above me. And recently we had a really big soul date where we got together and we were, you know, sharing these things about each other, and we connected. We connected in ways that I still thought at this point I was, you know, kind of isolated and only experiencing myself, and trying to avoid having these pity parties. But it was kind of hard, because when you feel alone, and it's so hard to break that. So anyways, we had this chat, we broke down the walls, and it just felt nice to know that we truly are right here. And that's one of the best things about my job, about, you know, sharing the world of art with others, is that it creates such a space for self-expression and self-exploration. And through that, you know, mental health does get brought up a lot. And I've been able to talk to my amigos about this at, you know, paint party events or in the studio in classes. And it's just incredible when we take the time to connect to each other. In the art world, there's something known as monochromatic, and that means one color scheme. So I've always liked to use this as an example, is that when we're sharing these stories, you know, people say, oh my God, my experience is not as bad as yours, or, you know, well, they got it worse, or I don't like when you do that, because it doesn't really validate your pain and acknowledge what you're going through in your journey. So I always say, you know, it's like monochromatic. There's different shades. So if we think of the color blue, you know, whether it's a light blue or, you know, a dark Copenhagen blue, it's still blue. So regardless of your experience in like the shade, you're still experiencing sadness, or you're still experiencing hurt, and we need to honor that. Um, so yeah, I guess the thing is I have so many fears. I've worked so hard to get to this point in my life and to create this safety place of existence, a safe place of being, and I'm so scared that having these conversations might take that away. But that's a risk I want to take if it means that someone seeing this who might be feeling suicidal will say, "Hey, she felt it too." And you can be happy, and you can be sad, and you can be all of these things. Um, or somebody who knows someone who's going through this will say, "Hey, I'm going to hold your hand and be by your side through this, and I'm going to listen to you, and I might not know what to say, but I'm going to work for you. And if you don't have the energy to network and to find the therapy or the support that you need, I'll do it. I'll help you if you let me." um, I think that's just it. I mean, it's just, it's about breaking down the walls, and it's about hanging in there. And I'm really, really thankful I did, because I wouldn't have had all these experiences. And I mean, I truly didn't think that this state of being existed. And every day I'm so grateful that I get to live here and be alive, and feel the sunshine on me, and hear the crickets and things like that. So anyways, that's all. That's my story. That's my thing I want to share with you on today. So be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others. Remember that it's a lot easier to just take a moment to listen and be kind than to start creating these judgments and building walls between each other. So yeah, sending big love out to all of you guys. Keep on rocking it.